Mandersohn with Shonda Quarles, and we're here in San Antonio at the NAACP convention. And you're just such a great author. I love that you wrote a few books about being in school, like for the youth.
Yes.
Let me know a little bit more about that, being a teacher.
I'm a teacher, and I wrote a book about a teacher who didn't want to go to school because sometimes teachers don't want to go to school, and the kids can relate to it because sometimes they don't want to go to school. But at the end, I go to school because I love teaching children.
That's awesome. And so what is the big goal for this book that you're putting out? What is like the main goal that you want your readers to get?
Basically, for people to know that teachers are human too. I think sometimes they just think that that we live at school. Kids think we live at school,
Yeah.
but actually we have lives, and sometimes we don't want to do things. And it's okay if you don't want to do things, but there's reasons sometimes why you have to do things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Let the viewers know where they can follow you.
Okay, you can follow me on Facebook at iHeartTeaching, EYE Heart Teaching, and you can get my books on Amazon.
Thank you so much for your time. I really
Anderson
appreciate
here
it. Live in San Antonio at the NAACP Authors Pavilion. I have Cheryl Williamson, the beautiful, lovely, talented, author. She's doing an amazing, amazing job. These are both of her books that are out right now. Give us a little background about yourself.
Wonderful. I am actually a visionary who believes in traveling the world, blessing women, helping them pull out their gifts. I am here because I published the amazing book Affirm and the Success Factor, as well as 9 other books. I'm passionate about books and just as passionate about helping women realize that their greatness is already inside them.
And I think that's big for us to realize that there is actually greatness already inside of us.
Absolutely.
So are you what are some things that we can look forward to you doing this year to make sure you get that message out?
I'm glad that you asked me. Actually, I just produced my first play in Dallas, Texas, titled Soul Purpose. And the next amazing thing that we have coming up is September 13th. I am actually hosting none other than Kim Coles from Living Single. Yes. On September 13th. I have 2 other books coming out, Soul Talk 2, which will debut October 26th. And then my husband and I are publishing an amazing couples book titled Soul to Soul. And we're excited about it.
That's amazing. So where can we look forward and make sure that we get the tickets and the book and everything like that? Where can we keep up with you? What website, social media?
My website is CherylPWilliamson.com. Again, that is CherylPWilliamson.com. You can follow me on Instagram at CherylPWSpeaks. All of my books can be found everywhere books are sold. So at the publication of my next 2 books, that will give me 13 books in 5 years. I'm a multi-best-selling author who traveled 57,000 miles last year speaking into the hearts of women.
Well, I definitely can learn a lot from you, so I definitely will have to pick up these books, and I actually follow you in Dallas, so I'm definitely going to make sure I follow her. Make sure you guys follow her, and you guys are right here to Afro Vibes.
It was written because it was based off of the concept that people don't encourage anybody anymore. They don't encourage themselves. A lot of people have gifts on the inside of them. They're stuck. They don't encourage themselves. So the Bible says David was under great distress, and he encouraged himself in the Lord. So what I do is I give people faith quotes and quotes that they can reflect on, they can think about, they can dissect. I don't tell them what those quotes mean to themselves because people need to be thinkers today. You have to be a thinker out here today. And so the quotes helps you to think out what's on the inside of your spirit. Therefore, you bring out the gift that's on the inside of you.
And I think that's amazing because we do need to self-encourage ourselves, and sometimes we just need to act on what God has already instilled in us. So I think that's amazing that you have the shirts and everything. Only God can do it.
Yeah,
that is just amazing and powerful. How can we actually continue to get this message out and to the world?
Yeah, I think that if you just want to be a self-encourager, and you have to have a love for people, number one. And if you have a love for people and a love for what they do, then it's easy to encourage people. And my heart and my passion was I ran across a lot of people that have great ideas. They have books on the inside of them. They have witty inventions, but they have nobody pushing them, nobody encouraging them. So that lights a passion and a fire up under me each time. And I just want to encourage people. And so if we want to continue to get the message out, we have to love people and encourage them. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ehlinger Spencer. Let us know exactly where we can keep up with you and purchase these awesome T-shirts and your book.
Well, the first thing is you can link up with me on Facebook under Ehlinger P Spencer. And then my book has a site, and it's called Encouraging Moment. And then I'm on Twitter, Instagram, all the different medias. Twitter at Ehlinger A Spencer 2011, Instagram at Al_Spencer1, and then my email is ellandris@yahoo.com.
Thank you so much. You guys are like right here to Afro Vibes. I'm Jasmine Anderson with E. Smith. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling amazing.
I love what you have going on over here. You got I'm That Parent. Let me know just a little bit more about this movement you have going on.
Right. So what I found is that I'm a high school counselor, but I'm also a parent of an ADHD student, right?
Yes.
So what I found is that I've heard a lot of my friends, a lot of my colleagues saying, oh, I don't want to be that parent. Well, the movement that I'm starting is I want you to be that parent, and it's imperative that you be that parent, and it's necessary that you be that parent so that your student can be successful when it comes to their academic career. Yes.
So what do you mean when you say that parent? Like the parent that, like, fill in the blanks for me. Let me understand that a little better.
That parent is the involved parent, right? That parent is the one that's going to send the email, that's going to contact the teachers, that's going to show up to the parent-teacher conferences and the open house nights, right? That's what that parent is. That's who that parent is.
Making sure those grades, everything is on point.
Everything is on point, and making sure that your student has everything they need to be successful, right?
Okay.
So that's what that parent is.
That's really awesome. So is this like a guide? You have a guidebook to let those parents know how to do it correctly?
Absolutely. So A's for Advocacy was actually birthed from that movement of being that parent. And when I say that parent, I say ride or die parent also, right? Because when you're a ride or die parent, that means that you're going to do whatever you need to do to make sure that your student is successful, right? So A's for Advocacy is a book that was written. It has 5 academic principles, really foundational, that you can do to immediately start being that involved parent when it comes to making sure your student is successful.
Well, I look forward to seeing more of this movement going on and more parents want to be that parent. Yes. So let us know where we can follow, get the book, stay in touch with you, let the viewers know your social media.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Parent Pal. That's my handle. You can also visit my website at www.theparentpal.com.
Thank you so much for letting me interview you. I really appreciate it. I'm that parent. Anderson. Nice to meet you. So Cassandra Eliot. I'm Jasmine Anderson. We're here live at the NAACP. I have Cassandra Eliot here. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. And I see you are really big about strategic victory. Let me know and let the viewers know just a little bit about how important that is for you to get that message out.
Well, it's very important to me that we get this message out. I want everyone to understand that no matter what happens in our lives, God is using it to bring us to a place of victory. There's a reason why you survived being molested. There's a reason why you survived the death of that loved one that was so close to you. There was a reason why you were in an abusive relationship and it didn't kill you. It was because God had allowed it so that He would bring you to a place of victory. There are some things that you are dealing with today that you are able to handle that if they had happened to you 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you would not be able to handle them. But because God has systematically and strategically ordained everything that happens in your life to bring you to this place of victory, nothing takes Him by surprise. Nothing is by accident. You were born to be victorious. Victory is in your DNA.
I love that. And what you and the fact that you're so passionate about exactly every word that you're saying, like, I get it. Like, you guys, how can we help you to make sure this movement and what you're trying to put out, it gets out?
You can just follow me on social media at co-pastor C1. That is the @ capital CO, capital PASTOR, capital C, and the number 1 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Follow me. You can order my book online at Amazon, or you can get it digitally on Kindle. Just get out there, get a copy of this book. Let this book bless your life, and then pass it on to someone else who's going through a hard time, who's struggling, who needs to know that they can be victorious. Somebody that's down and don't know how they're going to make it. This book will bless them and let them know that there's victory in their near future.
You guys, man, that beautiful message right there, that was amazing. You are victorious. And you guys are locked right here to Afro Vibes. I'm Jasmine Anderson with Stephen Tillett. We are right now at the Authors Pavilion in San Antonio at the NAACP convention, and I'm excited for his book. It's called Stop Falling for the Okie Doke. So let us know just a little bit about what that message is that you want to get across to the viewers.
Sure. Stop Falling for the Okie Doke was written out of frustration, really, as I saw continuing discussions about what I understand to be the lie of race, where the concept of race has been weaponized and used to keep people of similar interest and similar circumstance separated. We understand that genetically we are all 99.9% plus the same, and yet as a result of a difference in skin tone, which frankly, as you know, we can go to a family reunion in the African American community and have every shade.
Yeah, every shade. Yeah, that's true.
But just within the human family. And so when people understand that it's really about socioeconomics, that's the game changer. That's the foundation for the lie. If we get people to come together who have similar challenges and similar circumstances, it makes all the difference in the world, or it can make all the difference in the world. Wow. If you look at the cover, you'll see, for those of you who've ever maybe gone to a park and you've seen somebody will set up a card table or a box and they'll be playing 3-card Monte. Well, here you see he's got the 3 cards, and then of course the card in the middle is the Joker, because as long as this lie of race is continually told, we're all getting played.
Wow. And yes, at the end of the day, that is a very catchy cover. Mm-hmm. I think that will grab the attention and give the message once you read it. You're like, right. Okay, I get the message and what you're trying to share. Right. So what are some ways that you're going about to make sure this message gets out?
I've been promoting it with some schools, some sermons. I was on Sabbath leave actually from my church, and one of my colleagues invited me to come and to preach there and to share. Wow. Post some blogs, do some writing. I'm a pastor in Annapolis, so recently my most recent article was about the killing of the 5 reporters at the Capitol newspaper in Annapolis. But that was also a time when there was what I would consider to be sort of situational decency. That whenever a crisis or tragedy occurs, for a while everybody is pretty decent to each other. They kind of put their knives and pitchforks down and they treat each other well. Yes. Why can't we do that all the time? Why do you have to wait for there to be a tragedy or a disaster before we treat each other decently? So every opportunity I get to tell the story and just to let people know that whenever somebody says something to you about that somebody is a different race from another person, it's a lie. It's like saying the earth is flat and I'm going to believe it no matter what. But the earth's not flat. We know it's not flat now, and so we need to act accordingly.
No, I totally agree. What are some ways that you feel like people can help you get this message across them? What it is that you want?
I would appreciate an opportunity to address students, especially because students' minds are still more flexible. The older we get, maybe we become more inflexible. But young people, and then communities where there are efforts from folks in the community to go across the typical lines, socioeconomic lines and ethnic lines, to say we're going to come together as a human family. We want to speak to those folks as well to help them understand, here's some of the data, some of the science about it, make it happen. And I would be glad to support them in that effort. Okay,
well, let us know where we can find you.
You can go to stopfallingfortheokiedoke.either com or org. Okay. My IT person has cared for that. And then you can also find me on Facebook at Stop Falling for the Okie Doke, Twitter. My social media person knows all of these.
Yeah. Well, we'll have it listed below, so make sure you guys keep it locked right here to Afro Vibes. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm Jasmine Anderson here live in San Antonio at the NAACP Authors Pavilion. I have Rashanda Tate here, and she's a wonderful author. Her books are actually becoming movies. So let me know a little bit about how long you've been an author.
So I've been an author for 20 years. 2 of my books have been made into movies. Let the Church Say Amen, which which is currently on Netflix, and then The Secret She Kept, which aired on TV1.
Awesome. Look at you, just doing some great things. And we're at the NAACP. Like, what does that mean to you, just being here in this?
Well, I'm so honored. I do the Authors Pavilion quite often. I'm an NAACP Image Award winner. I've been nominated 3 times. I've won once. And so it's an honor. You know, we don't get recognized from the mainstream media. And a lot of people are always striving for the Oscar and the Emmys. And I am just so proud that we have the NAACP there to recognize our talent.
No, that is true. And the fact that they put on the award show for us as well. So I do love that. And this is my first convention coming to, so I'm really excited to be here and to meet wonderful people like you. So I'm excited to see, and the fact that you won. So we're going to see this year what happens. So what advice could you give to the potential authors that do want to write?
Stop talking about doing it and do it. You know, it's just as simple as that. There's so many people that have good books, but it does no one any good if it's in your head. And so commit to doing 3 pages a day, 3 words a day, whatever it takes. Commit to it, because writing is about the discipline of writing. And that really applies to anything you choose to do. It's about the discipline of doing it.
That's some good advice. You guys better take notes on that. That was really amazing. You guys, this is Afro Vibes. We're out.
Well, we are back with Nicole Williams.
Yes.
And isn't she gorgeous? Houston girl, Houston girl. Now, tell us why you write.
Why I write? Wow, it is probably the most natural thing for me. I have this story where we always laugh about it within my family, but it's like my sister and I, we were like only children, because it's a 15-year gap between us. So being the only child really was how I discovered writing and all the things that it comes from, or all the things that it allows. It allows me to express myself. It's an outlet, but it's also kind of like my connection with God. I was noticing a lot of prayers being answered through just writing simply, and then just in general, vision. We know if we write our vision down and we make it plain, it is very much happening. And so writing is a lot of things. And why I wrote this particular book, I don't know. It seemed like it was just like it needed to come out. It wasn't going to be letting me just kind of go through life comfortably without it being that I published. So when you have a story in you, you just have to be obedient, and you just have to make sure that you do what you can to make sure that the world has a chance to read the story. And they may have different opinions about it, and that's exactly what I like.
Well, I mean, the world would be kind of boring if everybody felt the same about things. And truth be told, Nicole, I'm gonna be real honest with you. The beauty of you writing your story is that you had the courage to do it, to shout from the mountaintops your voice, your literary voice. So, you know, I applaud you, girl.
Thank you. And same to you. You're an author as well, so you know that feeling.
So let's talk about Toxic Ties Trilogy. Tell me a little bit about this book.
Okay, so it is actually the sequel to Tangled Web of True Love Tales, and since that is the book that introduced all 7 characters, she is the one that's the nucleus of the group. And with being the nucleus comes a lot of love as well as hate. So she's a diva, so to speak. She has a lot going on for herself as far as being a businesswoman. Dionne Duvall is basically, you know, just the empress of beauty in the town of Houston. And so we know Houston to be a large space to, you know, we do things big in Houston. So Dionne is very much the same way. And so with that comes a lot of love and hate, like stated before. And so with her situation, she actually finds herself having to pretty much solve her own murder. And I really grew up reading a lot of mystical, as well as, like, you have to kind of put it 2 and 2 together. There's some room to determine for yourself what's really happening. So I don't like to, you know, just say point blank, this is what's happening to her. So her coming to Jesus moment is a little different, and there are some sci-fi elements there where she's having to figure out. She sees her life flash before her eyes, and she also sees the reason for her demise. And it's up for her to determine what kind of life does she want, or what kind of death does she want, unfortunately. So even though sometimes we don't necessarily have that ability, so to speak, we actually metaphorically do have that ability to determine whether or not we're going to live or are we going to die. So she's definitely not the victim type. None of my characters are. Some of them are struggling a little bit more than others in that arena. They all have their own sin that they're trying to overcome, and it's very possible that they will.
So One of the things that I like about your storyline is the fact that you weren't afraid to mix genres. That is very important, and you need to be very skilled to do that, and I'm sure you are. Tell me a little bit about, how can I say it, the real you, because for someone to be a heavy thinker like that, did you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Okay, my background is kind of interesting because I would say I'm a Jackie of many trades, and the creative direction is basically what I am closer to mastering, I would say. And what I mean by that is, I started writing just out of love, but I went to school for mass communications, and I also minored in English. So, I'm always trying to evolve. I'm a full-time teacher, so it's a lot going on. So I'm always pushing my students. I'm never at a point where I can just say, oh, I know everything. I'm always trying to learn new tricks. I'm always trying to get more insight. Like even today, when I had a book signing, I wanted them to know I was still doing research. So my question was, what sin has been the most toxic in our society today? So it just keeps me going, just asking people, having that journalistic background, but at the same time, I want for society to be better. All those things are kind of factored in. Just the love for life and wanting society to be better is kind of what drives me. So I'm always learning. So it's a couple of things going on.
Well, we can appreciate you being a Renaissance woman.
Oh, wow.
And the beauty of all of that is the fact that you are in Houston, so Afro Vibes Radio will have you to come in station on the Central Station, because we want to hear more from you. So tell our readers, our listeners, and our viewers how they can find you.
Oh, awesome. I'm so excited about that. You can find me at Eclectically You Experience. It is a website, eclecticallyyou.com. It's the best way to find me as the event planner, creative director situation. But my first name and last name, Miko with an M, it's not a typo, MikoWilliams.com. You can find all of my book information there. I am heavily on Instagram with the new company, so Eclectically You Experience is pretty much where you can find me on there, Eclectically You Experience. So.
Well, we want to say thank you again, and we love you already. So, you got to come. You got to come to Afro Vibes, okay? So, thank you very much. Hi out there in Afro Vibes land. I have Tristan Jackson here with me. She is an author, a prolific author, and working on her PhD. And I'm going to ask her some questions here at the NAACP National Convention. She's here. She's a featured author in the Author Pavilion, the National Conference. Hold one. Hi, Tristan.
Hi, how are you?
Are you doing okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me on here, Miss Sharon.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit, Tristan, about why you write.
Why do I write? So why do I write? I write for the next generation because I want them to, I want to leave a legacy for the next generation to never give up on your dreams, and no matter where you come at in life, you too can achieve your dreams like Tristan Jackson. That is why I write.
Wow.
Yes.
And then what do you write?
So what do I write? So I write inspirational, motivational, self-help books, children's books. So each part of my life, each journey that I have went on is a book. So College Success Guide talks about being a first generational college student and the tools that you need or a college student needs to succeed in college, no matter if they start off at 18 or 50 years old. That book is perfect for that one. That is College Success Guide. And then Wake, Pray, Hustle, Repeat is about my journey as an entrepreneur. Waking up, we wake, we pray, we hustle, repeat, and that's just an inspirational book too to help people on this entrepreneurship journey. So I say each one of my books was a stage in my life to inspire someone else to never give up on their dreams.
Wow. So let me ask you something else, Tristan. I'm curious. Talk to me a little bit about, if you were a first-time author, what advice would you give someone who is a first-time author? Because you've been there.
Ooh, that is a lot. for a first-time author, I would definitely say networking is key. It's more than just writing a book. Anybody can write a book, but it takes someone that's determined to get it out there, networking, connecting, going to different events like the NAACP, having your website. So I would definitely say outside of writing a book is make sure you get your team, make sure you have your website, you're networking, you're going to different vendor showcases, and not just only in your city, but try other cities too, because you never know who needs your book and you never know who will come across you at different events. And so just because you have a book does not mean that it's going to sell.
So the last question I have for you, Tristan, is what does the future look like for you?
Ooh, what does the future look like for me? So right now the future looks for me is to have my own radio showcase and continue to build on this entrepreneurship journey and continue to network, continue to connect with different people, and just it's like when you're building like someone's doing a sculpture and they have a block of ice. That sculpture doesn't automatically come to fruition. They have to keep chipping at it. And so that's what I'm doing with TJ Inspires. I'm keep chipping at it until I'm able to reach a global audience.
Wow. Well, you know Afro Vibes is in 180 countries. So today, Tristan, you have reached a global audience. Congratulate yourself.
Thank you.
Well, we want to say thank you for showing up and showing out, and tell our audience how to contact you.
So you can find me online at www.tjinspires.com. I'm all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just TJ Inspires. All of my social media is TJ Inspires.
Well, thank you for
just
showing up and showing out, Ms.
Thank
Tristan.
you.
Author Central. Well, this is the Master Communicator signing off, and I just want you to know I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Bye-bye. Hello out there in Radio Land. We are at the NAACP convention, and I am here with this wonderful author all the way from Newark, New Jersey?
New York City.
New York City! Harlem, New York. You know I was born in Queens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's my neighbor.
Oh, you know, I only lived there for 6 months.
Well, you're still a New Yorker.
So let me find out about this book you wrote. Miss Simpson, okay? Phyllis Simpson.
Phyllis Simpson. My book is called The Judge and I, and it's a story about me and something that happened to me over 35 years ago. It's as relevant today as it was when it happened 35 years ago because it deals with the issue of abortion.
Oh.
But the issue is a little on the other side. I'm a person that always believed in freedom of choice, thought everybody else who believed in freedom of choice was on the same page. But I found out that freedom of choice for some people means their choice and not your choice.
Oh, wow.
So this book is about my pregnancy out of wedlock and the judge disagreeing with me as to she thinking that I should have an abortion and me thinking, no, I won't do that.
Oh, wow.
And so the book details what happened, the exchange between us that happened, and it also goes into things that happened to me when I was growing up. I grew up in the 60s. I'm one of Dr. King's foot soldiers. And on the back of my book, you'll see my favorite quote from Dr. King, which is also more relevant today than ever in America, probably, because it talks about freedom.
Wow.
You know, Dr. King says there's nothing greater than freedom.
Nothing greater than freedom.
It's worth paying for. It's worth losing a job for. It's worth going to jail for. He said he'd rather be a poor pauper than a rich slave. And he would rather die in poverty with his convictions than live in ordinate riches with his lack of self-respect.
Oh, wow.
Which is so relevant to what's going on in the White House today.
Wow.
Because up until this last president, even the presidents that I disagree with the most, I believe that they did believe in freedom. And that's one thing that I think this current president doesn't believe in. But I digress. My book talks about my days of growing up in Dr. King's movement, and it also talks about my experience integrating the high school in my community that was previously all white, and also just the things that I experienced as I grew up. I think that you will enjoy it. People have said it's a good read. I've gotten really good comments and best wishes from people who have read it, and I hope that people will look for it. It's on Amazon, and you can get it if you know my name, which is Phyllis, Phillis, Lou, Lu, Simpson, Simpson.
Wow. Phyllis, thank you so much. You know, we are here with the learned, okay? We are here with the intellectuals, and we are here because we count, and our voice counts. Phyllis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For interviewing with us, and
Thank
we
you.
love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Thank you. I'm beginning to enjoy Texas, too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. God bless. Well, that was Phyllis Simpson, and the name of her book is The Judge and I. The Judge and I. And I can guarantee you it's a good read. Well, we'll be back a little later with another author, but I just want to say, hey, we're at the NAACP convention, and you ought to be here in San Antonio. Bye-bye.
I'm Jasmine Anderson. We're here live in San Antonio at the NAACP Authors Pavilion. I have Richard D. Sutton here, and it's amazing because he's really putting out a message on how the fear of becoming a man. And I feel like some men out there might have a fear of becoming a man. So let me know a little bit more about that and that topic.
So fear of becoming a man is loosely based off of my life of growing up in Philadelphia, where my father and my uncles, they were around, but they wasn't present. So there's a transition between young black boy to young black man that wasn't really given to me, and it was more of a situation of having to find that out, what it looks like. And there's a lot of falsehoods on what manhood is, and when you compare it to what it really is versus what we've been told it is, they're night and day. So I discussed a lot of that in here, talking about my failures, marriage, getting a divorce, what I learned from that, what was my takeaway, to being labeled with a learning disability and how it didn't stop me when I really never really had one. But black boys are usually labeled the fastest. So I've created a curriculum for this book that my goal is to get it in all the schools right now, because there is no curriculum catered for urban youth. So I have a curriculum that's set to that goes with this that I'm working on right now to get out to across the country.
Wow, and I think that's awesome in the fact of how much you feel like that's a need for, and how much I think the community can benefit from it, like men knowing the proper way and the proper guideline how to become a man. Because like you said, a lot of them are without a father, without an uncle, without a male figure in their life. So I feel like that will be good, and I feel like it is necessary in the community for someone to put that out there. So how are some ways you feel like the viewers and myself can help you to get this message out?
I think just, follow me on social media. I go by Mr. PDQ on social media. Tell a friend to tell a friend. The book is actually on Barnes & Noble's website, and it's also on Amazon website. You can also book me to come out and speak for you if you need me to, and you can get in contact with me about purchasing the curriculum. The curriculum also is a lot of our youth are leaving schools with very low reading and comprehension skills, right? And because of that, when they get to colleges, they're getting put in remedial classes. So what we did was we created a curriculum that they can improve on those skills, but not even recognize that they're being improved on their skills, because it's things that's relatable. And because the book is called Fear of Becoming a Man, it's not biased, gender bias. That's just the title. There's life lessons in here for male and females, young and old. So.
Okay. Well, hey, like he told you guys, make sure you guys go pick that up. Follow him on all of his social media outlets. You guys are locked right here to Afro Vibes. I'm Jasmine Anderson. We're here live in San Antonio at the Authors Pavilion. I have Latane here, Latane Bracket, with an awesome book about where are all the leaders. And I have that same question. Where are all the leaders? So what encouraged you or motivated you for that title?
Well, I chose the title because if you look at the news nowadays, you see that a lot of the figures that we would think should be leaders don't behave like leaders.
Yes.
So then that begs the question, then where are the leaders?
Yeah.
So the book is really about those traits that we were taught as children were leadership traits, and why don't we see those today? And furthermore, it really is to spark a discussion about how do we get back to the type of leadership that we grew up with and that we need today.
Oh, that's good. No, that's good, because a lot of people say they want to be a leader, but sometimes they don't have the right guide or the right, they don't have the right just principles on becoming a leader. So in this book, you're saying they will get those principles. They will get everything they need to become a leader.
Yeah, this book is based on my 30 years of working in corporate America. I now work at Tennessee State University as Executive Director of Facility and Operations. So I've gone back to higher education in a HBCU. And but this is really about things I have picked up on the last 30 years working in corporate America in terms of things that are important in not only being a leader in the community, but also one in your home.
Oh, that's awesome. So what advice could you give some of the viewers out there about being a leader?
Well, one thing is to be true to yourself. It's very important that you're true to yourself and that you really know that what you're doing is because you have a passion for it, as opposed to you're being pushed to go do it. Because if you're being pushed, you're never going to give it your all.
Oh, you guys, look, I got some words of wisdom for you. That was amazing. I hope you guys took notes on that. Well, let the viewers know a little bit about where they can keep up with you, purchase the book.
Okay, my book is available on Amazon. It's also available on Audible. You can get it on Audible. You can get it on. It's actually at Fisk University. If you happen to be near Fisk University or Tennessee State University, at their bookstores, and you can reach out to me. I'm on Twitter, ENATAL3. That's my tag. Or you can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. I put out something every single day that I call "Can I Just Tell the Truth?" and it's a positive leadership notion every single day.
Oh, that's awesome. So I look forward to looking at all of those. Thank you so much for letting me interview you. You guys are locked right here to Afro Vibes. I'm Jasmine Anderson with Sandra Elaine Scott, and we're here at the Authors Pavilion in San Antonio. And she's also one of the award-winning authors, and I'm excited.
Well, thank you.
I know. How long have you been a part of this?
Well, I have actually been writing for 7 years. And my newest book just came out, and that is called Home. And it's a bilingual children's book, and it's about a little girl whose grandmother comes to live with them. And while she's there, she's really sad because she misses her alpaca. Yeah.
I love that. So you speak, how many languages do you speak?
I will say 1.5. I tell everybody I speak Spanglish.
Oh, that's cute.
My mother was from Panama and my father was from Jamaica, so I'm bicultural. And so for me, it's really important to see Afro-Latinos that look like me, because a lot of times in the media, you don't see Black Latinas or Black Latinos. You're only portrayed one way. And I wanted a children's book that inspired and uplifted our children just as much.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, let all the viewers see all these beautiful books.
So
amazing.
Home. There you go.
I'll hold this one
Thank
for
you.
you. We got home, you guys. Make sure you guys go pick this book
All
up.
right. And then there is The Magical Day, and that's about a little boy, Donovan, who comes from Jamaica to see his aunt and his cousin for the summer. And so while there, they send him on a magical adventure. So he meets a firefighter. He learns about being brave. He meets an elderly gardener. He learns to find joy. He meets a soldier, learns to be proud. He meets a graffiti artist and learns to be creative. He meets a little girl in a wheelchair. She's an athlete, learns to never quit. And at the end, it's a magical day. So,
These are some really great children's
Yeah,
books. So if you guys have any kids,
there you go.
this is beautiful. And they can get, obviously, another language. They'll get to learn.
In this one, in Home. This one is only in English, but I do throw a little Spanish word, so there's a little Spanglish you can get in that in that one. But then for the parents and the adults and the teens, we also have Mañana starts today. And mañana is Spanish for tomorrow. So it's people who are waiting on their hopes and their dreams, and everybody is waiting for tomorrow before they get started. What are you waiting for? So do it now. So it's Mañana starts today. It's affirmations to jumpstart your heart, mind, and soul. So today I smile. Today my dreams are greater than my fears. Today my body is perfect. Today I will not quit. Today I am grateful. Today I inspire joy. My favorite, today I fly on the wings of God.
Oh, I love this. Like today we're going to be great. Today we're going to support. Today we're going to be amazing. Look, I love these. Okay, well, let everyone know where they can go ahead and purchase it.
You can purchase it on my website at sandraelainescott.com, and they're also available on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com as well.
Wow. Well, make sure you guys go pick all 3 of these beautiful books up. You guys are right here to Afro Vibes.
Hi out there. This is Sharon C Jenkins, the Master Communicator. And we are Author Central Station at the 109th NAACP Convention. And I am in the Authors Pavilion, and I am in 7th heaven. I'm having the time of my life, and I have Russell Williamson here with Soul Bearer. 9 soul-bearing conversations from men sharing their unspoken truths. And that is so critical in our world today. Hi, Russell.
Hello, how are you? I'm glad to be here.
I'm doing pretty good. Now, I'm going to ask you basically 3 questions. You ready?
Yes.
And may I give this back to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Russell, who are you?
Who am I? Great question, huh? Well, first and foremost, I would start off and share with you that I'm a believer. I'm a child of God. And not that I always knew that, but most recent past in my life is really understanding and fully appreciating what that actually means. And so it gives me great honor, one, that you would have me here to speak with you, but 2, to be able to share my book with the audience. And the ability to share stories, mine as well as the other 8 men that are in the book with me, about different difficulties that we've had in life. And certainly oftentimes we can get in those situations and we feel like this can't be the end of the road. And thanks be to God, it is not. These stories are to enlighten people who might be in challenging experiences or situations, that the gentleman like myself in this book, you can get to the other side. When you let go and you let God, he can certainly guide you and get you there. If you turn over your plan to him, as the word we know tells us, he will certainly order your steps.
So we know that it seems as though African American men and African men are under attack in today's society. How does this book address that issue?
And I agree with you, one, to tell you that I don't think it's probably more of a visible attack now. Well, I mean, obviously with all of the technology and the ability to read and see things at a snap of a finger, we can certainly get more recognition around some of these challenges that men of color are having, black men in particular. This book can help those men, because when you feel isolated, or you might feel like, why are these things happening to me, and why does it seem like everyone is hot on my trail pursuing me with a desire to destroy me? Stories in this book can actually open your eyes to the fact that, you know what, there are many men like you that look like you in the same hue of skin as you that are also being attacked. However, victory is theirs. They have the ability, obviously, in understanding not only who they are, but whose they are. So recognizing that, as I started off and said, I'm a child of the King, realizing that there is a sovereign authority that is well beyond anything that you can manifest in the physical, but is well beyond the supernatural. He can guide you and get you to the other side of any situation that you're in. So I would say keep the faith. These stories will help you keep the faith.
Well, okay. I'm loving it. I'm loving this conversation. So my next question is, what do you do outside of the writing sphere, or what is your interested sphere of influence?
Oh, great question. So I have, for the past 26 years, I've been in healthcare, and I have the opportunity to really, and not the traditional as most folks think as far as providing care, but really working in the business of healthcare. So helping large integrated delivery networks understand and overcome some of the challenges they have in delivering healthcare. And as we know, healthcare is still one of the biggest industries within the United States. However, it's one that we struggle with in getting a good level of quality care, consistent care to the people that need it. So having the opportunity of, in my way of seeing as a give back to our community, helping solve those kinds of problems for health systems. So that's one of the things that drives me. But in a broader space, and the reason why I like healthcare is because it has allowed me to, as I say, give back. But when you ask that question, it takes me to a deeper place of saying, my desire is really to serve. How can I help other people? And so I've been able to do that and earn money doing it. But also beyond that, I'm a part of, nonprofit with my spouse, my wife, where we help those disadvantaged, troubled, disenfranchised, and in some cases incarcerated people get a step up, an opportunity to understand how do I integrate myself into society and be a productive citizen.
Wow, that's a lot. It really is. And I'm thinking, based on your answer, just curious about the specific steps that you take to help others, because I see servant leadership all over you. So I want you to talk a little bit about the importance of being a servant leader, but even more so the steps of how you can metamorph into that, being a servant leader.
Yes. So I think it really starts inside. And so when I say starting inside, it also means examining yourself in a way of, can I make the first step of putting myself second? Because I really believe that oftentimes we get focused on our own issues, our own problems, and those things can be they can have such a pull on them that you become very, very self-focused, which means it's very difficult to serve others when you're only worried about you. So my first step would be, how do I move myself into the second position and begin to think about those that are around me? There's help needed. I mean, we can walk out our front door, all of us, every day and see that there's an opportunity to serve.
Hello out there. This is the Master Communicator, and this is our third day at the NAACP National Convention, the 109th convention, and I am in my element. I am here in the Authors Pavilion with authors. You know, I'm in love with them and everything that they do, and special shout out to Oracle Group for organizing this Authors Pavilion. All these wonderful people with all this wonderful spoken word. And I have beautiful Lungi Moore here, Zimbabwe born. And she is now in Detroit, am I correct? I'm in Detroit. Okay, and so she started her lifestyle and community website, My Girl Squad, to foster positive connections online. And the site focuses on highlighting amazing individuals around the world and current affairs and trending topics affecting women of color. And so, you know what? We qualify, okay? Across the globe. And the beautiful thing about her being on Afro Vibes Radio is we're in 180 countries, and our focus is the African and Caribbean diaspora.
Oh, awesome.
So you know what? We're a match made in heaven. So we need to stay connected, don't you think?
Yes, we do.
So she's here with us, yay, at this convention. And let me see. Oh, she's a TEDx Talk alumnus. She was selected to speak at the TEDx Detroit, where she discussed the misrepresentation of black women in society. Ooh, I am so happy to introduce her to you today. Her amazing book is
Wash Day, Nomiza and Nomava's Wash Day.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so you ready?
Yes, I am.
So grab the mic. I want you to tell me some stuff. Who are you?
So my name is Lungi Moore, but I'm actually Lungi Soa, but I always give people, the benefit of the doubt and just have them cut my name short so we don't have to go into a long conversation about why it's spelled a different way, where do I come from, why is my English okay, and all that other stuff. So I like to cut things short. My name is Lungi Moore, and we just gonna move on from there.
Oh, good. What's your name?
Yeah, so I am a big advocate for black women and women of color within the global region. And I started the site because I felt we are really misrepresented online. We are always depicted in a certain way, and we're not monoliths. Like, we are a vast and deep culture of women. And I felt that it was necessary to merge the two between the African American and the African diaspora. And I felt a very big response from a lot of women who I've met. I've traveled quite extensively across the years, and I felt the biggest issue that we have is the lack of knowledge of each other and the stereotypes that are on both ends. And I felt it was necessary for all of us to try and build some type of common ground. We're always at the bottom. We're always misrepresented in horrible ways online and on TV. And it's important for us to tell our own stories. And that's what happened. That was the catalyst to create mygirlsquad.com.
Wow, I am impressed.
Yep.
I'm going to grab the mic back. She's comfortable with a mic, y'all. We love her. Now, okay, so you told us who you are. We want to know what you do.
Okay, so what I do is I'm an author and I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. I'm actually coming out with my second book as well. And the issue that I had with creating the book was I didn't have enough stories that looked African, that had authentic African art in it, authentic representation of Africans as well as the African diaspora. And just having the classical family dynamic that we all have in a lot of our homes. The books that I'm coming out with, I would like to rival a lot of the classic Disney books that are out there. There's actually nothing wrong with them, but I feel like we need to have more stories that are told about our communities. And the first book is actually a story about Wash Day. Wash Day meaning the day you decide to wash your hair. And I know for a lot of black women out there, including myself, it's something you really dread to do. And a lot of the times it's also us not having the opportunity to understand and experience Wash Day from a young age. I mean, I know for myself, I was pushed to perms because that's what I saw that was beautiful. And I realized with my own two kids, that would also be the issue. So I created the book just for them and not realizing that every other mom out there, when I go to these expos, is like, oh my God, where has this book been all my life? I just want a book that highlights and helps navigate my kids through the experience of Wash Day. Something as simple as that.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And you know what? One of the things that I feel is imperative is that we lay the foundation to tell the stories that that affect us.
Yes.
It's so very critical when we don't do that.
Yes.
And the kids make up their own narratives.
Absolutely.
And they don't have to go back to the beginning of the line.
Yes.
You know, we can help them, and that's really our role.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we've advocated that role to something or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So we're calling you back.
Yes, we are.
Calling back to your natural state and your responsibility.
Yes, which it should be. It should be the parents' responsibility to at least give reference to a lot of the things that we as a community experience. It shouldn't be a narrative that is told from outside the community, because when you're looking outside, looking in.
Hello, hello, hello out there. This is the Master Communicator, Sharon C Jenkins with Afro Vibes Radio. Author Central Station is my show. And you know what? I am at this NAACP National Convention in the Authors Pavilion. And I just want to say to you all, you are missing it if you are not here. There is power in the spoken and the written word. And I have the opportunity to interview wordsmiths from all over the nation and from all over the world in this place. And so I'm in seventh heaven, right? So Micaiah J. Young, made in his image, but his shadow is all I've seen. What a book. What a book title. And so we're going to talk to him a little bit about this wonderful book. I am in love with the cover, and you would be also. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay. Well, I am a man who has been in pursuit of purpose and destiny. The purpose of my book, or what kind of got me involved in writing the book, was because I'm involved in ministry and I work in the community. I wanted to better be able to serve them, and I knew that in order to serve in the community and serve individuals, especially in the prison where I have been working, I needed to kind of tap into some things in my own life and in my own past, and kind of find some resolve and closure so that I could assist people in recovering from some of the trauma that has happened in their lives. So I'm a pastor, I'm a chaplain, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm happy to be on your show today.
We're happy that you're here. We have a special place in our hearts for authors, and the reason why we do what we do is because we really believe that the written word has such a powerful force in the earth. And for years, the narrative has missed the African American voice, the African voice. And so it's kind of like a symphony, and you have all of your necessary instruments, but you're missing one. And when you miss one of those instruments, that symphony can never play with an excellent spirit. So we are showing up, and we're helping you show up. So that's our purpose. So I'm curious, who are you?
I'm a son. I like to identify myself as such, and the reason why I say that is because my father abandoned me at birth, and I spent the first 35 years of my life looking for him, and those same 35 years he was trying not to be found. And when I did eventually find him, my expectation was not met. Actually, it was met with disappointment. I was not embraced in the way that I wanted to be embraced. But over time, I've learned to accept the fact that regardless of whether I was embraced or not, I am a son. Not only am I his son, but my divine connection with God, my creator, really just validated me as a son, and as one that still has a contribution to make, and has the ability to be to my children what my father wasn't to me. So I was the title, Made in His Image, but His Shadow's All I've Seen, kind of has a dual purpose. I had never seen my father. All I had ever seen of him was a picture, and it was very dusty and faded, and all I could see in it was his shadow. And so thus the title, Made in His Image, but His Shadow's All I've Seen.
So that's who you are. We're curious is, what do you do?
Okay. So I, for the past several years, have been working in corrections as a director of spiritual care, serving about 2,000 inmates, males who are incarcerated. I also serve a congregation in the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am recently launching a program for development of boys who are at risk and men who are in transition, and the title of it is In His Image, which is also found in the title of my book.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So my last question is simply this: your why. What is your why for what you do?
Sure. The why is because I feel that if I am not walking out my purpose, then everything I've experienced has been in vain. And I believe that my experiences, God has given them to me so that I can assist others in really reaching their potential. One of the things that has challenged me is working with men who are incarcerated. 90% of the ones that I have dealt with have had a relationship, or have not had, rather, a relationship with their fathers. And many of them say, well, I got involved in gang activity, I got involved in street life, and criminal behavior because I was looking for identity, I was looking to be validated, and my father didn't do that, and so that's why. But I'm able to show them that there's a better way. You know, that although you have experienced misfortune in your life and you've been devastated and disappointed, that you don't have to follow the wrong path.
Hi out there, the Master Communicator back in the house. We are in San Antonio at the NAACP National Convention, and I am in Authors Pavilion, and I have the distinct pleasure of having my friend Dr. Bethune sitting beside me. Historically, there is no other resource that can compare with this beautiful sister, and she's about to tell you what the deal is. Dr. Evelyn Bethune, how are you?
I'm excellent. It's just a pleasure to be here talking with you.
Well, you know what? I want you to tell the people who you are.
Okay, I am Dr. Evelyn Bethune. I am the granddaughter of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who of course is an American icon. And what we strive for is to make sure that all generations know who she is and the things that she did. Wow. Absolutely.
So for this YouTube generation, can you just give them a blow-by-blow, just a little snapshot of who Mary Bethune really is?
Absolutely. My grandmother was born in 1875. She was the first child in her family born free. She was the 15th of 17 children. And my great-grandparents, Samuel and Patsy McLeod, were slaves in this country. And so I often say that we don't have to reach that far back to go back to the plantation. And we have beat all odds. My grandmother became an advisor to 4 United States presidents. She founded Bethune-Cookman College, which is now university in Daytona Beach, Florida. She also founded the National Council of Negro Women, which is now headquartered in Washington, D.C. On top of that, she was an organizer. She was one of the first African Americans to have a government job in New York City, appointed by President Roosevelt. She headed the youth department and did a lot of work as it relates to programming for youth in this country, black youth in particular. And she was, I say, a trailblazer, because her name, every branch of the military has her name in their history.
Oh, wow.
As it relates to pushing for integration, the WAVES, the Women's Army Corps, was integrated because of work done by my grandmother. The American Red Cross, they did a piece on PBS, and 15 minutes of it was about Mary McLeod Bethune. And so, you know, her name is on the very fabric of this country. We know about the Red Tails, Tuskegee Airmen. Well, what you don't know is the reason they could get off the ground was because of Mary McLeod Bethune and her friendship with Eleanor Roosevelt. Not only did she ask her friend to fly with the airmen, but she made sure the money was there, because, you know, planes can't fly without fuel. And so a lot of the things that she did people don't know about. They make movies, but they don't talk about what's happening in the back room that made it all possible. And when you read the history, Mary McLeod Bethune's name is there more times than not, especially between the 1925 and 1945. She started to retire and slow down a little bit around 1950, but she worked up until the day she passed away in 1955. She was preparing a speech to go to Switzerland. She was on the founding body of the United Nations. So, you know, I am very proud of the woman that my grandmother was, because she wasn't just a black woman doing stuff. She was a black woman doing incredible things for that time period and maximizing the resources that were available to her.
So the reason why I'm in love with history so much is because that's the only way that we really understand our roots and our truth. And I was loving the way I saw you on the panel the other day, and you were, you know, bridging the gap. Because when I say gap, I'm talking about understanding gap. You know, we have a whole generation or two out there who aren't really familiar with their history. And unfortunately, just 1 month out of the year, we celebrate Black history, but Black history is American history. And the moral of that story is, you know, the right people aren't crafting the story. So I want to make sure you tell people a little bit more about this story today. So share a little bit about your experience as a granddaughter of a great woman.
There are 5 grandchildren. My dad was Dr. Bethune's only child, and there are 3 boys and 2 girls. 2 of my brothers are deceased this past year, and so there are 3 of us now who reside in Daytona Beach. And we are all very grassroots, community oriented. And I tell people we can't get away from it. It's on our DNA. It's the way we were raised. And so we are always fighting the fight of helping our people understand the greatness that resides within us. For too long, we have been relegated to a second-class position. And some of us have become acceptable of accepting that as our position, when in fact many of the institutions that we look at would not exist were it not for the work of Africans and African Americans. So as we get to know our history, we also know our history didn't start on a plantation in South Carolina.
Hello, hello, hello out there. This is the Master Communicator on Author Central Station, and we are in San Antonio, Texas at the 109th annual NAACP conference in the Authors Pavilion. Want to give a shout out to Oracle Group. They are making it happen for us, and we just want to say thank you. Now, you know, this lovely lady that is sitting beside me is one sensational novelist, and I want you to meet her real bad. K.D. Smith, Crystal Stairs, a novel. Are you ready for this? Get ready, get ready, get ready. All right, Katie, how you doing? This the book, y'all.
I'm doing well, and thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate this opportunity. And of course, we thank Mocha and the Oracle Group, but I really appreciate this opportunity to sit down and talk about some great African American literature and reading.
So, who are you really?
I'm Kimberly Smith. My author moniker is K.D. Smith, and this is my first novel, Crystal Stairs. And I have been doing business and ministry consulting, and of course, preaching the gospel first and foremost of our Lord Jesus Christ. And so I definitely do consulting, mostly on the Christian church side, but I do general business consulting and PR and marketing.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, okay, next thing is, what do you do? Well, we asked the what, didn't we? And the who you are. You ready for the next one? Yes. Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because of Christ and because, he has favored us as gifts of God that are able to impact the world for the kingdom of God. So my book and my ministry has been dedicated to really using the revelation of God and the mind of God to impact the world. And so writing is just one small part of it. Being an author is just a small part of the ability to impact culture and to change culture and to really influence people, who are in our lives and in our communities.
So I'm curious about how your book, Crystal Stairs, renews the mind.
Crystal Stairs. Okay. Crystal Stairs, every single storyline in this book is absolutely realistic, and that's why people are loving it and people are supporting it, because it's something that is so real to the average person and the average reader. And basically this book is a depiction and a glimpse into the church world. So let's just look at our community. Most of us, if we're not church people, we know church people. And this is that book that says, finally we get something that's a well-balanced, real depiction of the black church and some things that may happen within our church and in our culture, and we need to address. So this book goes and is dubbed under Church to Me Too, and it brings a great full resolve to the believer and those who walk by faith. So the reader gets a glimpse into, it's like you're being on a fly on the wall. And so it's so realistic. The characters are well defined, a fly on the wall, and it deals with two bishop families. So PK kids, this is your hour. This is our time. I'm a PK kid. So, it's our time to celebrate the life of strong believers. And please don't think that it's limited to the church, because it's not. It's really not. It's a universal story, and people of all walks of life are appreciating it. And my motivation, because you asked, was a very good friend who passed away was trying to write a memoir. And I wasn't able to really release the memoir with any kind of credibility because some of the facts just weren't lining up. So the first chapter in this book was an attempt to bring her story into the mainstream. But after the first chapter was written, this book took a complete life of its own. And the vision became much more expansive. And so there are people of all walks of life. And it's so not limited to the black church, but that's the primary audience. But it is impacting people of all walks of life because of the universal story of humanity needing to heal and to work through our differences and our issues. And to do so, for the average believer, we have a Christ-centered approach to it. So that's how we come in, and we're loving this particular book.
So the beauty of everything that we do here at Author Central Station is celebrating your story and celebrating you. So we want to know, are you going to write something else soon, or are you working on another project or film or anything?
Well, the reality is most of the readers have been pulling and coming.
Hello again. This is the Master Communicator, and we are back. NAACP Authors Pavilion. Again, a shout out to the Oracle Group for the wonderful job that they're doing here. And I have Landis Stovall here. This is my girl. Do you know my very first interview on Afro Vibes Radio was with Landis, and I'm gonna start calling her Philly because baby, she looked like Philadelphia, the brotherly city of love. She got love all over, y'all. So I just want to say, thank you for returning to Afro Vibes Radio and for blessing us and believing in us to be the number one person that picked up a mic with the master communicator on Author Central Station. We love you. We love you. Okay, her book is titled Even Through the Storm, and she's going to tell you her story. So I'm going to back away from the mic, and I'm going to let her have it because, she's Miss Paparazzi anyway. Hold on 1 minute.
Thank you.
You know what, baby? The beauty of what we're going to talk about today is the fact that you are a survivor.
Oh.
And that you are resilient. So I want you to tell the people who you are first.
I am Philander Stovall, mother of 2 beautiful children, author, speaker, actress, self-taught and certified makeup artist, singer-songwriter.
She gonna get on this space.
I do it all, pretty much. And a corporation owner. Corporation. Yes, ma'am. That's the new thing. Well, not really new, but I took a break when my son relapsed with needing a bone marrow transplant in late 2016, and I'm started back now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, what a powerful testimony. So we know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now we want to know what you do.
What I do? Oh, I do it all. I speak. I'm a full-time mother. I'm an authoress, writer.
Let me help you with this. Let me help you with this.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, because you told us a little bit in your who you are about what you do, but what you do, I'm really asking, how will you make a difference in the world with your literary mission? Is that better for you?
Yes. My mission is to be one who inspires, encourages, reaches out and help people no matter what. I want people to remain focused and never give up, even through their storm, no matter what that storm may be. So that's pretty much what I'm about. Just positivity and light, pretty much.
Pretty much. Well,
Yeah.
I love it. So I have another question for you. Ready? Oh, so he said, who are you? What do you do? I need to know why you do it. Why do you write books? Why do you want people to read your books? And what is your why to keep doing this? Because I know you're not a one-book wonder.
My why was, I always felt, even before I wrote my book, I always felt that it was a purpose behind me wanting to write the book, but it took 6 years to get it done because I can't just write a book before we even go through, So it took 6 years, and I wrote the book, and it was to keep others uplifted and let them know that they too can be resilient and stay positive minded through their obstacles in life. And so that's pretty much why
So let me see, Philly, about 5 years from now, where will I find you? And how much will be in your bank account? I want those 2 questions answered. We're gonna get this on video.
Billions. Quadrillions. Oh my God. I would be blessed. Way blessed. I mean, I already say that I'm blessed, but in a higher level, because it's levels, and God keeps taking you higher. So I know I would be higher up and more blessed. And it's not even just about the funds, but of course you need the finances to keep doing, and because it takes money to make money. So, and of course, like it's gonna come back to you. And that's, I mean, you have to work to eat. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, we want our audience out there, we talk about you. We want our audience to be able to find you after this interview, because she is traveling all over the world.
I am.
Now she at this national convention. This girl is hot and popping, and you better get to know her now.
I'm getting there.
While you can reach out and touch her.
Reach out.
So tell us how they can find you, baby.
Okay, you can reach me on my personal Facebook page, which is just my name, Philandis Philly Stovall. Or you can reach me on my author's page, which is Even Through the Storm. Even Through the Storm. This is a bookmark.
Hello. We are in San Antonio. This is Afro Vibes Radio. Sharon Jenkins, the master communicator, host of Author Central Station. And I am here in the Authors Pavilion at the NAACP conference. National, y'all. I tell you, Afro Vibes has gone national. So that's all I want to say is thank you to the committee, and thank you to Oracle Group for hosting this Authors Pavilion. And I have Dr. Sheila D. Williams here, and she's written this awesome book titled My Mother's Keeper. And I'm going to let her tell you about the book, but I want to say something to you to preface her conversation. I just want to tell you that one of the most critical things that we do is hide our pain. And I'm going to let Dr. Sheila tell you about an instance in her life where, unfortunately, she was faced with that. She had to deal with that situation, and she's going to tell you how, and how it has made her an advocate.
Yes, very much.
Okay, Dr. Sheila, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay, definitely. Well, my name is Dr. Sheila D. Williams, and I am the author of My Mother's Keeper. And I am an advocate for mental health awareness. I wrote this book. It's a memoir for, basically, this is the story of my life. My mother suffered from an undiagnosed, misdiagnosed mental illness for about 25 years. We did not know what was wrong with my mother. It was very challenging, I should say, as a child growing up in a home where your mother has a mental illness and you don't know what it is. We knew that she wasn't well, but back and forth to the doctor, it was never diagnosed. Misdiagnosed, undiagnosed until I was about 24, 25 years old. She was finally given the appropriate diagnosis of clinical depression. But even after being diagnosed with clinical depression, she was still embarrassed. Mental illness in the African American community is very taboo. It's a very taboo topic. We don't want to discuss it. We don't want to talk about it. And so even after her diagnosis, we didn't speak about it because she didn't want anybody to know that she had a quote-unquote mental illness. And so after her diagnosis, she still struggled, obviously, with the clinical depression, but it wasn't until right before she passed away, which was only a few years ago, that she finally stated, okay, it's okay for you to tell my story. So I wanted to put this out there. I wanted to obviously honor my mother by telling her story, but I wanted to show that we need to talk about it. We need to be very transparent in the African American community. There is hope, there is help, and there is healing for those who are suffering from mental illness and those that are caring for those who perhaps have a mental illness. 1 in 4 individuals will suffer from a mental illness at some point in our lives, and it does not discriminate. So not talking about it doesn't make it go away.
Dr. Sheila, that is really the truth of the matter. But the other truth is the fact that we don't have any problems dealing with something broken in our physical body. But when it comes to the mind, we just go to a different place. But just like our physical body is fragile, our mind can be fragile too.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So tell me a little bit more about your advocacy. Talk to me about where you found the courage to tell this story, especially in a community that is not sympathetic or empathetic.
Right, definitely. Well, I tell people all the time, my expertise is threefold. Obviously, I have a personal experience. I have personal experience with it because my mother suffered from a mental illness, so this is the story of my life. personal journey. Then also I have a master's degree in mental health counseling, so I have the book knowledge, for mental health counseling. And then I have been in the profession for 20 plus years, working as a therapist, as a counselor, as an advocate for mental health. So this is not anything new for me. This has basically been the story of my life. So it is not only the story of my life, it's my life's purpose. I do believe that it was a blessing for me to have the mother that I had, and God chose me for this mission. And I am adamant about speaking about it and building a platform in which not only myself but other individuals they have the strength to stand up and say, I either have a mental illness or I'm an advocate for those that do. If we don't talk about it, then it continues to perpetuate in our community. And from generation to generation, we have a generation of quote unquote sick people. And, if we don't deal with it, our children, our grandchildren are affected. And I don't want to see that. I saw my mother suffer in silence, and I said no. I mean, I am very transparent to say I have a therapist. If I need to see a therapist, I see a therapist. But even with that, even having my mother suffer from a mental illness, I'm telling my story because a lot of times people would see me as being quote unquote successful, Dr. Williams, and they didn't know the backstory to it. Each one of us has a story. And whether or not you suffer from a mental illness or you have a parent that has a mental illness, that doesn't make you less of a person. Exactly, or a child. I definitely know individuals, obviously my mother, but so many other individuals who are suffering from a mental illness, and they are the strongest, some of the strongest people that I know. So it is definitely not a weakness, and it should not be taboo. Just as you stated before, if we have a physical ailment, we see a doctor or physician for that. Why not see a doctor and physician for a mental health disorder or anything that we are going through?
Well, one of the things that I love about this conversation is that in itself, it is a tool to alert people to the fact that it's time to have that discussion. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. The Master Communicator is back. Remember, we are in San Antonio, Texas at the 109th Annual National Advancement Association of Colored People NAACP Convention, 109th year. Boy, that's speaking a lot. What a legacy. And we want to say thank you to the Oracle Group. They are the facilitators and stewards of the NAACP Authors Pavilion, and all these wonderful authors are here as a result of their efforts. So we just want to say thank you. And so I have Janet Authorine here, and she has this wonderful book, Growing into Greatness with God. Growing into Greatness with God. So we're going to ask her a few questions because you know what? She's a sensational author. Okay, are you ready, sensational author?
Oh, thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's talk about this book. First of all, we want to know a little bit about you.
All right. Well, I grew up in Jamaica in a very small community. The name of the community is Dalvey, and I lived there until I was 12. Went to school there and went to the church almost every single day. And this book was inspired by my journey in Jamaica and all of my time spent in the church and in the small community. So it's called Growing into Greatness with God. It uses spiritual lessons to teach children to grow into courage and to increase their faith and to be kind and to be courageous and strong. So all of the principles that will help them face any adversity in life.
Wow, that's a mouthful, my friend. That is a mouthful.
I've about it forever because I'm really passionate about it.
So give us one of your favorite key lessons from this book.
Well, I would say growing into courage, because a lot of kids today are faced with bullying and they don't really know how to deal with it, and they don't realize that they're strong and their strength comes from God and it's already inside of them, and that they have every single thing that they need to succeed. And so they can face any problems, any adversity. So I want them to know that they are strong and just to be courageous. with any issues that they deal with, whether it's problems at home or problems in the school. They have the inner strength to deal with it.
Wow. So we want our viewing audience to be able to reach out and touch you simply because our mission and our goal encompasses the African and African American and the Caribbean experience. So we want them to know how to contact you because we're sure our viewers will be wanting to get some of these books.
Oh my God. Well, if you have children, this is a perfect book for them. I can be reached at www.janetautherine.com. I'm on Instagram at JanetAuthorine. And my email is, janetautherine@gmail.com. I would love to talk to anyone. Reach out to me. I'm very accessible. And please buy the book.
Well, you heard it here on AfroVibesRadio.com. You know, you need to go get Janet's book, and you need to go now. Parents, this book is full of character concepts, and it has a biblical center. You want to run to Amazon or where to get it?
Amazon or Barnes.
Okay. You want to run and pick up your copy today. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Janet.
Thank you so much for having me. Many blessings to you.
Thank you. And, you know, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back. Bye-bye. Greetings from San Antonio. This is the Master Communicator, and I am still in the Authors Pavilion at the NAACP National Convention. And I just want to say I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I have Nakavia Ben Israel here with me, and she is a fabulous author, and she's written this book called George Special Chair. George has a special chair, y'all, okay? And she's going to tell us all about it. Are you ready, Nakavia? Yeah. So tell us who you are first, because we want our viewers to know who you are.
Okay. Well, I am an educator. I am also a mom and a children's book author. So I've been in the education aspect for a little over 14 years. I've been a teacher, I've been a reading specialist, I've taught English overseas, internationally, and this is my first children's book. I just finished my second children's book, which will be out in March.
Wow, very good, very
good.
So tell us what you do. Besides writing, we know you write, but what else do you do?
Okay, well, I'm reading my full-time job, of course, is being a mom of 3 boys. I have a 15-year-old and then 9-year-old twin boys. And I am also an educator. So my second full-time job is pretty much working in the school system as a reading specialist. I work with children anywhere from kindergarten to 5th grade, mostly with students that need extra additional accommodations or instruction in reading.
So we love the fact that we have an expert sitting here, an educational expert. So when she decided to write her book, guess what? She's got the knowledge and the know-how to put into that book. So we know it's a bestseller.
It is a great book. I believe that it is a book that every teacher should have in their classroom. It's a great book to use as a read aloud. I also think that every home, you see African Americans throughout this book. Any African American family should have a copy of this book in their home. It has a theme of love, family, and tradition. And those are things that's really important to the African American family. So, yeah, I think everybody should have a copy of this book.
So the other thing I want to ask you is, why do you write?
Okay. I write because I think it is very, very important for books to have meaning and to have a purpose. Even though it's a children's book, it still could have a theme. There still could be a lesson that a child or whoever's reading this book takes away. So that's one of the main purposes why I write, so that people are able to read, enjoy the story, but actually learn a lesson from what they're reading.
I love it. I love it. So, can you give me some advice for first-time writers of children's books?
Okay, well, I would say one of the things that I really had to work on with writing my first children's book is just making sure you use terms that children can relate to, and that children don't have to go to a dictionary just to pretty much get through the book. So it has to be kid-friendly. And I would say, of course, make sure you're always using, I know like sometimes in novels we don't use the correct grammar because it makes it interesting, but in a children's book where you want children to learn how to use the correct grammar and write the correct punctuation, you need to make sure that those are elements within your book. And I say make sure your book has a theme. I love books that have a theme.
You heard it from the expert. We want to thank you for your interview. And most importantly, we want to thank you for having the courage to write and publish a book.
Thank you.
Tell our viewing audience how to contact you.
Okay. If you want to contact me, email is childrenslitmotive@yahoo.com. Also, you can reach me on Instagram at unapologeticallyqueening. And that's pretty much it. Also, if you want to get a copy of the book, you can go to traffordpublishing.com and pick up a copy of the book. It's $21, and it is well worth it.
We want to thank you for being on AfroVibesRadio.com, Author Central Station. And as you can see, we have a wealth of intellectual capacity in this Authors Pavilion. People from all different genres, people from all different paths in life, and that's how come we wanted to share this with you. There is no other place than Author Central Station where you get to be on stage, the marketing movie star that you are, and we celebrate you. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. Well, we'll see you in a little bit. Have a great one. And by the way, we love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Bye-bye.